Hello everybody, welcome back to another instalment of Trying to A-Level. This week we're going to do a crash course on Antigone, just a brief overview of the play, its themes, characters, whatever. Let's get right into it, shall we? Antigone is Sophocles' third play in the Theban trilogy, however it is the first written about 443 to 441 BC and performed at roughly 441 BC, and explores themes such as tragedy, rules, order, family, religion and power. And even though it was written hundreds of years ago, it still has themes that are prominent today and can be regarded as a fairly feminist play, even though that wasn't really a thing that existed. But firstly, I'm just going to very quickly cover the context of the two plays before Antigone, just because it influences a lot of what happens in the play. The first known play is Oedipus Rex, in where Oedipus, already as king, swears to help thieves come out of this plague that's been happening as a result of him killing his father by accident, unknowingly, and then marrying his mother and having babies. It's all very, very strange. Anyway, Creon comes back from visiting the oracle, who says that the plague will only be lifted when the murderer of the last king, Laius, is punished. Oedipus goes and swears that he will do this, ironically, because he doesn't know that the abomination that he spoke of is actually him. After various clashes with various characters, the truth soon emerges, and when Oedipus arrives home, he finds that Jocasta, his mother/wife, has killed herself and continues to get the pin from her brooch and blind himself with it. Oedipus then begs Creon to exile him from these forever, which Creon pitifully does, and then Creon sends his daughters Antigone and Ismene to go and visit one final time. And that's Oedipus Rex. Next is Oedipus at Colonus. At this time, Oedipus is now a nomadic wanderer, led on by Antigone and pursued by Creon. Oedipus then finds refuge on the outskirts of Athens, where the king Theseus takes care of them. Ismene also arrives on horseback and warns of the Seven against Thebes. Oedipus then gets really mad, cursing his sons for not treating him well and contrasting them with his devoted daughters who have stayed with him. Eventually, Creon shows up and he asks Oedipus to bless Eteocles as the new king. Oedipus then gets really outraged. He damns Creon for acting against him and curses his own sons to kill each other in battle. Oedipus then sends his daughters away and he asks Theseus not to forsake them by telling them of his burial place, as his burial place is what decides who's going to be king, apparently. Theseus promises this and then Oedipus dies. Back in Athens, Antigone begs to see her father's tomb and even asks to be there, buried with him rather than live without him, but Theseus reminds her that his burial place is a secret and that none can go. Antigone then has to return to Thebes, hoping to stop the civil from marching, and then everybody exits towards Athens. And that is Oedipus at Colonus. So yeah, you may be thinking, what the hell is the March of the Seven? Well, I'll just explain it very quickly to you now, as it bridges between Oedipus at Colonus and Antigone. So after Oedipus leaves, Eteocles and Polynices agree to have alternating annual rule. However, after Eteocles' year, he refuses to abdicate the following year, and then he exiles Polynices, who then flees to Argos and raises an army to reclaim his rightful rule. Polynices gets 6 powerful dudes from Argos, and in retaliation to this, Eteocles gets 6 generals from Thebes in order to defend. Each will pose at the 7 gates in which the individuals of the against Thebes are going to attack. The results of this are the 7 Argive attackers are killed. The fates of the defender commanders aren't really specified, aside from Eteocles, who dies at the hand of his brother, as does Polynices. Creon loses 3 of his 4 sons, only leaving Haemon behind as the last remaining. Creon, as the last of Laius' pure bloodline, is placed on the throne by default. The city remains, but it's unstable and pretty shaken, and then Antigone arrives just too late, finding that both her brothers have murdered each other in cold blood. Overall, Antigone is having a pretty rough time. Now I've got all the background information out of the way, we can get straight to Antigone and its characters. So let's start with Sophocles' tragic heroine, Antigone. She is the daughter and sister of Oedipus, and also the sister of Ismene, Polynices, and Eteocles. She's described as slow and withdrawn, and Ismene notes in one of the translations that she is beautiful in a way that unsettles, frightens, and puts people at war. She curses her girlhood and has a very boyish mind physique. She is the antithesis of the melodramatic heroine, and she refuses stubbornly as her uncle to descend limits placed on her, and she is very heavily devoted to her familial duties, probably due to the time that she spent with Oedipus wandering around in the wilderness. In stark opposition to this, we have Ismene, who is Antigone's last surviving sibling and also the daughter and sister of Oedipus. She is described as beautiful and reasonable, and she seems to understand her place, dissuading Antigone's rebellion even though she may not agree. She definitely respects the society that she lives in and is lawful and obedient to it due to her fear of Creon. And next we have Creon, who is Ismene's and Antigone's uncle. He's powerful, practical, but weary due to his age and the burdens of rule. He tries to distance himself as much as possible from Oedipus and his line of family. His interests lie very solidly in political and social order and believes that happiness is derived from the work that man puts into society. He's bound by ideas of good sense and the banal happiness of good everyday life. Some may also believe him to be the depiction of a typical Sophoclean hero, a tragic hero in that. However, because he is pitted against Antigone, who is our protagonist, he is seen as more of an antagonist, though notably not a villain. Next we have Theban, who is Antigone's fiancé and Creon's last son. He defends the moral basis of Antigone's actions and sympathises with her determination. And even though he has a very clear devotion to it, he also has a very clear devotion to his father, who he tries to aid in his rule by giving advice, especially at one point during the play. He is very much proven to be a lot more reasonable than his father and a lot more open and aware of the ideas of the city. After these guys we have the chorus, who are perceived to be the city elders. They act as both a narrator and a commentator on the city's perspective. They also frame the play within a prologue and an epilogue and introduce all actions and all characters that enter the scenes under a sign of fatality. They also instruct the audience on how to be a proper spectator and appearing at the tragedy's pivotal moments to comment on the action or on the nature of tragedy itself. As the elders, they appear to intercede throughout the play, whether on behalf of the Theban people or just the image of horrified spectators. Also we have Tiresias, who is a blind prophet that appears throughout a lot of ancient Greek plays. He is a long-standing friend to Creon, having cohorted with him throughout the Oedipus trilogy, and tries to warn Creon towards the end of the play of his own foolishness. And he has appeared as wise, full of reason, and very respected by people who know him. Next we have the more minor characters. In some translations there's a page who's Creon's attendant. He's the figure of young innocence. He sees all, understands not very much, and is no help to really anyone, but it is shown for one day he may become either Creon or an Antigone in his own individual right. We also have the figure of the messenger, who is in himself very foreboding and solitary, as he bears the news of death wherever he seems to arrive. Prologue, he casts a menacing shadow over the rest of the chorus, and as the chorus do note, he remains apart from the others in the premonition of Haemon's death. Then we have Eurydice, who is Creon's very kind knitting wife, whose only function as the chorus declares is to just knit into a room until it's her time to die. Her suicide is seen as Creon's last punishment, leaving him entirely alone in the world. And finally we have the guards. They are very indifferent, innocent and ready to serve, and they're really uninterested in heroics and seem to just be normal, common people. Which gives a sense of there's a normality in the world, not just these very extreme characters. So, now that we have absolutely everything else out the way, what actually happens in the play? So, firstly, Antigone and Ismene meet in the evening, briefly recounting the events of Oedipus and the Seven, and observing Creon's edict to bury Eteocles, but dishonour Polynices on the outskirts of Thebes. Antigone is very visibly outraged, and despite the process of Ismene, she goes and rebels and just goes to bury him. Next sunrise, the chorus enters, and they have an ode retelling the Battle of the Seven Gates and rejoicing that the turmoil is now over and the stability of Creon and their new leader, who they announce is just entering now. Creon then gives a speech upon his edict and plans to make the city great, giving a lot of weight upon the topic of punishment to those who goes against him. Ironically, the guard enters giving a very long-winded and pseudo-light-hearted account of Antigone's rebellion, trying to sort of give it a little bit of a curveball. However, it's not yet known who buried Polynices, and Creon demands that he goes and tracks down the perpetrator right then and there. The guard then rushes off to do so, fearing for his life against big scary Creon. The chorus then have a philosophical discussion over the wonders of man, how he has mastered speech, thought, and then takes a darker turn towards the end, saying how man has not been able to escape death. After they're done, the god comes back and has Antigone red-handed. Creon is very shocked to see and questions her in just disbelief until the guard gives proof of her guilt. He gives a very clear account of the capture, and then Creon very directly asks Antigone whether she's guilty or not, and she just solidly says yes. Creon then just directly gives Antigone a chance, asking if she knew of the law forbidding her actions, and is shocked that she just says yes once again. And then he's even more shocked that she just has a go at him, condemning him of attempting to overrule the laws of the gods and those of man. And then Antigone and Creon have a very heated argument over the individual righteousness. All of a sudden, Ismene bursts onto the scene and she attempts to share Antigone's punishment and claims joint responsibility for the crime. Antigone then just flat out refuses to let her do so because she didn't, and the two argue until Creon interrupts them by just sending them both away into jail. The chorus then break this section up again by contemplating sorrow, the house of Oedipus, the power of the gods, and the futility of happiness, and then they announce Haman entering. So Haman enters, and at first he obediently listens to his dad. He talks about son's loyalty and how women such as Antigone will poison his mind. He tells of how obedient men can make good rulers as subjects by being strong, brave and reliable, and how obedience saves lives in comparison to rebellious anarchy, particularly by the disruption of women. The chorus seem to agree with Creon, however then Haman speaks in retaliation. He gently encourages his father to put a bit more thought into his actions and to not kill his fiancée, and there are rumours in Thebes going about that Antigone should be regarded as a hero. He emphasises how Creon still has the time to make his decisions and actions right, and that he would not be putting his reputation in danger by just changing his mind, and the chorus seemed to lean towards this argument. The chorus then very much seemed to lean over to Haman's argument. But of course Creon does not take his son's advice well. He accuses Haman of his mind being poisoned by Antigone and refuses to listen to him any longer. After a very brief argument, Haman storms out after threatening his own suicide, and Creon orders Antigone to be executed. Antigone is escorted to a punishment, and she discusses her fate and the fate of other passionate women like herself to the chorus, and she begins to curse her own family. Creon then enters. Antigone makes a very grand speech expressing a very self-righteous mindset, and then she is placed into her tomb. The chorus then have a bit of an interlude, speaking of tragic heroines with their equally as tragic fates. Tiresias then enters, and he confronts Creon on his decisions, telling him that the gods can still forgive him if he corrects his mistakes. However, Creon sticks to his stubborn ideology until Tiresias leaves. However, and immediately afterwards Creon changes his mind and rushes away to rectify his actions after consulting the city elders. The chorus then have a section discussing the greatness of the gods and the greatness of Thebes. The messenger then enters, telling the chorus that Haman is dead, but then immediately after his mother Eurydice enters, noting that she overheard some talk of disaster. The messenger then tells her that Creon has gone on a Polynices, and then after finally burying him, he goes to Antigone's tomb. Upon his arrival, Creon finds Antigone dead, having hung herself and now lying dead in Haman's arm. Haman curses his father, swipes at him with his sword, and then falling upon it himself and dying. Grief-stricken, Eurydice leaves, and as does the messenger, and then Creon enters carrying his son's body, lamenting his sorrows and expressing his learning of a bitter lesson. Then the messenger returns, and he is hit by the news of Eurydice's death. Her body is then brought forward to him, and it's told that she cursed him before her death. The chorus then tells a broken Creon that he cannot die himself, as death is too easy a punishment for his actions, and that he must continue to live with the remorse. In one of my favourite quotes, Creon says that he has destroyed everything he touched and now he has no strength left. The chorus then ends on a final warning note that no man is above the law of the gods, and that good sense is hammered out on the anvil of age, and thus the play ends. And that is my 15-minute crash course into the play Antigone. Thank you guys very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, favourite and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.